in this specific time, one thing I would say is don't rush into it when you're networking with someone. If you're trying to create a conversation, do exactly that.
Technology. Dude, this quarantine thing is just making me go insane right now, but also not. I think it's more that I can't leave the house to go far, because that's what I like to do. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You can't go and do all the things that you like normally doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't go to all your cool places and like do all that shit.
100%. That's the thing.
That must be hell for you,
dude. It's more like, I don't know. More, for me, it's more. My life hasn't changed except for a cut in income, like by 25, 30, 35%. Like I've been. This is probably the most grateful I have ever been in my life to have half a job.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, anyway, that's probably a good note to start off with. Hey guys, welcome back to the Fresh and Zesty podcast. As you can tell, we are, Jamie and I, Chunkyluv and I, we're nowhere near each other right now. We are in two different suburbs in the safe confines of our homes. In his case, he's at Chunkyluv Studio. But yeah. If you're new, guys, make sure to subscribe. We're just going to give some tips. Like this is a fucked up time. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. So at times I'm going to be looking at my screen, looking at you guys just to mix it up, because I'm talking to Jamie down here, and Jamie's talking to me. I don't know where your camera is, so I can't really.
It's literally like right in front of you. I wasn't sure where to set it up, so I was like, I'm gonna keep it like looking at you, and then right in front of your face is the camera.
Yeah, wow.
So it's like
okay.
Constantly like.
So you're like front on like
your. Like,
is that intimidating for? Like, is it intimidating for you guys? Like, comment below.
It's a little bit. I got lower on the screen though, so I could be like halfway through the screen, so you can't really see my body. You just see the top of my arms, and that's it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh man,
to make sure my head was in the shot.
Yeah. So anyone who's like looking at this after the fact of quarantine's nuts, like we are currently in the middle of a complete lockdown. Sydney-wide, people are getting fines. Like, did you hear? So there was a couple who got a $2,000 fine for sitting in their car because it was deemed unnecessary or non-essential to be sitting and chilling out in the car.
Yeah.
Like, what the?
Yeah,
that's
crazy, bro.
That's overkill, and that makes me start believing and fearing these conspiracy theories that I'm hearing about. But we don't need to dive into those.
You've been going off with those fucking conspiracy theories.
Oh.
Ain't that a fact?
Man, the point of this podcast today is we want to go into how we are producing like before COVID lockdowns, during COVID lockdowns, and hopefully you guys can get some value from this to figure out, how's it going to help with you guys. But just before we do that, like I do want to dive in a little bit in this craziness, because I need to put a disclaimer out into the world.
You're going crazy.
Okay, I don't buy. How can I do this so it's like a metaphor?
Just say it, man. You just got to say it.
I don't buy into conspiracy theories, but I definitely love to window shop.
Yeah, I get that.
So basically what I mean by that is like there's conspiracy theorists that like, 9/11 was staged, and this is a government created bioweapon, and this is our start of, our downtime of a police state of all of America, Australia, and all these countries and the elite, blah, blah, blah. Jamie, you can testify to this. Like, I've been hearing a lot of ones that I'm like, I mean, there's plausibility to them. Some of them. I'm not going to say which. You go.
I swear, like, every day that you call me, you've got like, hey, so I heard this one, and
I mean, it
makes sense. And I'm just like, bro, please stop.
It's also because you start going, well, shit. I mean, that is kind of maybe.
Well, like, I mean, like how, like I had to go to Alexandria the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was almost not gonna go, because I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, even if I had a letter, from myself because I'm a sole trader. So it'd have to be from me, the CEO of my company,
Facts.
to say that I could work. Stupidest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
Like it's up to the officer.
That's
There's
that's
no
the problem.
strict law.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what happens. If you've got somebody that wants to be a dick,
100%.
I guess you're going to get a fine then.
And so, to lightly touch on that subject, that's the issue that people are saying, like, this is the problem where laws never go backwards. As soon as a right is taken away, it's never reversed. And that's where people are concerned with this now, because if they just put that out of nowhere, people will be like, oh my gosh, like this is bullshit and blah, blah, blah. However, now, because it's a national security thing against a bioweapon you can't see, well, not a bioweapon, a virus that you can't see, people are very concerned that...
Let's not feed into it completely.
Yeah, no, let's not rule it out. But you know, that's where my concern comes in, because I'm just like, well, shit.
100%.
Like, you know, like think about... I hate using this example. A wife that gets beaten by her husband and she doesn't say stuff about it. They didn't start the relationship with an aggressive husband. It starts off as like, you know, it's all fine, and then it's one little sort of, he like yells at her and she sort of brushes it off, and years down the line or months down the line, you know, the habits have become infrequent, where she's discounted them, to frequent, till it's just normal. This is how it is. You know, I know he still loves me. That is also how...
Obviously generalizing in this particular...
Yes.
Hypothesis.
The psychology behind it, in terms of when a change is sudden, people fight it and don't tolerate it, whereas when a change is gradual, people tolerate it. So what I'm drawing those two horrible situations is because, again, the idea, I'm not buying into this, but the idea of a police state, you couldn't do that overnight. People are going to fight it. People are going to go, this is BS. But when you have, again, a common enemy, which is another very persuasive thing, a common enemy being the virus, people then, you know, they agree, yes, we need to shut down, like we need to stay in our homes and all this sort of stuff. And then 3 months pass. All right, we've just got some more information. It's almost finished. Just one more month. One more month. And then all of a sudden you're 12 months down the line, and, you know, this is your new norm. Yeah. So that's the latest conspiracy theory I'm into, mainly because as well, I've got one neighbor who's a nutbag. But anyway,
well,
we want to go into value for these people. So yeah, basically what I thought we should touch on today is, one, start really novice for some people who haven't gotten maybe a producer to do their stuff before. And then we'll work into as well people that, I mean, given this shocking crap fight that's going on right now, how you can work with people still online. I mean, like the fact that, like, again, having the internet and having this technology at our disposal, the fact that you and I can still shoot a podcast and we don't even see each other. And,
exactly.
You know, like still the audio, like, you know, everyone's concern is the audio. Like we're not using the audio that I'm hearing and Jamie's hearing through the Facebook. We're going to link
through
up temporarily at a safe distance because of work. Okay, two scapegoats here. I'm going to get the SD card and then use those files to then make a clear audio for it.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
So fortunate in this shit situation. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, let's just touch on with when you typically do a session with people, with musicians and artists and whatnot. What is the typical thing? And I'll jump in too because we've worked together. And I know that everyone has very different styles. Some will go beats first. Some have no fucking clue, which is great. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean as in, like, you know, sometimes I've come in.
Yeah, it's more like, you know, like, oh, I want to do something, but I don't really have a starting point.
Yeah, well, it was like our song Gypsy Soul. I came in with you and I'm like, I just want a song that is a mix between Redbone and Supermassive Black Hole. And we called it temporarily Supermassive Redbone, which was great. And then, you know, we created a completely unique song from there. So,
okay, well, I mean, let's start. I guess, I mean, well, what do you want to touch on first? Do you want to touch on like, like what people can still do by themselves at this? Or do you want to start with
just in general, like how you as a producer, I'd say let's go on the statistically the most common route of writing a song and the process that you go through with an artist, and how artists and producers could benefit with that blueprint in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I guess for me, the most typical is somebody comes to me with an idea, whether it be something they've recorded to a YouTube beat, or it might just be a guitar or something like that, or even there's no instruments at all. It's just a vocal.
Yeah.
Like it's just an idea that they've got. It might not even be a full song. It's just like, I've got this little thing I really like and I want to see where I can take it. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, let's see where we can take it. The first thing, I mean, the most common thing that I do personally to help with the process, because I know a lot of artists don't really know the exact words to try and describe things.
Yeah.
So, like, in terms of like technically describing what a synth sound they want to sound like, or not even knowing what instruments they hear in the song that they like, they just like the sound.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I just want something that's like this, but my own thing.
Yeah, and that's fine too, because I think people get concerned they don't know how to articulate it, but that's your role, like you're the one, your shit. Like I can't tell you how many times you'll be writing a song, and you'll back me up with this. I'm already kind of trying to correct you before you've even finished a section.
Yeah,
and you're like, bro, I know, and like, but that's where like. I don't know, like, and then sometimes, you'll do something, I'm like, bro, in my head, like, you probably don't know this, in my head, I'm like, I just don't like this. And then bang, like, I'm like, holy crap, like, wow, where'd that come from?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing, hey, it's like, there's that period of time between when you ask for something and when I do something, but I'm not finished doing it. You know what I mean? And there's been no conversation. The only conversation I've had is in my mind, being like, okay, this is sort of where I get the bass sound, the bass concept of the sound. And then I'm like, okay, this is cool. Now I have to make it sound like what I actually want it to sound like.
Yeah.
So I've got the crux, I've got the elements, but then I have to push it into that next sort of area.
Yeah.
And that's the part where, you used to be like, no, I don't.
Bro,
like,
my anxiety is
not exactly.
The anxiety is through the roof with that. Oh,
so funny.
I'm still a little bit like
that.
Give
me like
though.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm still a bit like that. Though. I'm trusting, but there still is like, I guess it's hard because from an artist point of view, I'm so in it, and I love. Yeah. And and that's the thing. That's like it's you've got to say run this far, and you're here right now, and I'm trying to help you rather than just going, all right, let him get to here first, see where he's going, and then adjust. Yeah, well, because you just want to be a part of the project, you know what I mean? You just want to be a part of that process. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's that guilt, I think, as well, where I don't know, subconsciously I'm like, and this might happen to a lot of artists out there, where I feel like I need to hold my weight up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't be that person. I think a lot of artists out there are the same, where it's like, even though I'm paying you, I don't want to be that guy who's just like, oh yeah, this is my song. And it's like, bro, all you did was sing on it, So in because you've done the whole beat. And I think there's that little guilt within that then can sometimes make a bit of a beef between producer and artist.
Well, yeah, because that hasn't been addressed, first of all. And then secondly, sometimes like it becomes that sort of thing where, like the artist is trying to, just be involved with it. Yeah. But sometimes that becomes like not a nuisance, obviously, because we want the artist to be involved as much as they feel like they have to be involved. But there becomes a point where, and this is super important from a producer's point of view as well, is you have to address that.
100%.
You can't just let that, if that's annoying you when you're trying to produce, address it straight away. Just be like, look, I know you're trying to get involved and I love the fact that you're getting involved, but give me like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you don't like the idea, tell me you don't like the idea, but
And
give
we'll
me that
revisit.
little bit of time where I can put something together for you and show you what is in my mind, and then we can go from there.
100%.
Another thing that I will bring up at this point exactly is based on this idea. It's the opposite though. When artists don't say anything.
Facts. They're just like sitting back and,
And
then,
this-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is a super important, like uber important part of it is where like I've done a few sessions and we've gotten the whole session through and they've been like, yeah, cool, love it. Yeah, that's great. I'm really happy. Yeah. And then I get an email the next couple days being like, I don't really like it. Or I don't hear anything back. And it's like, okay, fine. Like, and you know, like everyone's different. Some people, like myself, I don't really enjoy confrontation, but if it's in the form of something like this where it's imperative to have that confrontation so that we both walk away happy from this situation,
Yeah.
it's just something you have to do.
And
so
is it
I think
often
artists need to be...
Is it often in the form of like a text or an email where they're hiding behind something?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
It's never a phone call or it's never in person.
Yeah. So it's
but,
a
you
fear
know,
of
like-
confrontation like that.
Yeah. And
uncomfortable.
it's a totally legitimate thing. And, you know, like I respect that because, again, like I am the same. I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, like it's sort of
Actually,
one of those
that's
things where it's
true.
like...
You definitely like if you disagree with something with me, it's often text.
Yeah, 100%.
Now that
I'm
you
getting
point
more-
that out.
I'm getting more confident in doing it like in person and over the phone.
Yeah.
But it's been a learning curve for me too, because it's one of those things where, yeah, you do have to bring it up straight away.
And it's uncomfortable, but it's a muscle, you know, like you get used to, but you also, on the flip side, be careful that doesn't become
You don't get too comfortable.
Yeah,
exactly.
It becomes your
exactly.
reaction, you know, like I've got someone who's very close to me and it doesn't matter. Like, fuck, you could say the sky is blue and they'll be like,
No.
yeah, not really. And I'm like, right, it's literally, it's fact.
Disagreeing just to disagree.
Yeah, it's just a flex muscle. So then you
100%,
need to find
100%.
that balance.
Of course. Yeah, that's so important. But yeah, I think, you know, if I was to take away anything from the interactions I've had with artists so far, one of the biggest ones would be like, if you don't like something that a producer's done, don't wait.
100%.
Say something. Don't be a dick about it, but just be like, hey, I'm not really feeling this. Do you mind if we try a different direction, or do you mind if we tried at whatever it is that you don't like? You try to find the words, first of all, to articulate it properly.
Yeah.
So they're not just punching in the dark, because that's fucked.
There's actually a
That's
really cool technique I
horrible.
learned as well. So this is actually like, this is good for producers, but just communication in general. This is a little bit of a tangent, but this is on the point of what you're saying.
Yeah.
If people are really concerned about telling a producer or a musician something that needs to improve or something they don't like or something they can't do. So you know how you like usually, I'll use an example just because it's easy of, hey, do you want to come over and hang? Often people will say, man, I'd love to, but I can't because of blah, blah, blah. Now that word but, you only hear what's after the but.
Yeah,
So
100%.
really cool thing is you flip it. So instead it is, oh man, I can't because I've got to go see XYZ, but I really wish I could have. Make sure you invite me next time.
Yeah.
You've just heard the second half and then you're happier. So with the music example, this could really work. And it like, I'm really good at doing it with text now, but instinctively I'll still write the positive but negative and then I flip it.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to improve to do it verbally because, you know, that's more like, again, my reaction is initially to write it. So if you're talking it, you know,
Yeah.
the same thing.
100%.
It's like, you know, I'm like, oh, could we please change this? But I really like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, oh yeah, sure, man.
Well, it's
the
yeah.
simplest
Well,
thing.
it's like well, something they tell you, like, you know, this is back when I was working in the bars and stuff, but like in terms of like those, this is more towards like a managerial sort of role, but like this is feedback in general, where it's like it's a compliment sandwich.
Oh yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? So you start with something good, tell them what you want to fix, and then end with something good as well. So they get that on both sides, that positive reinforcement, but then there's also that thing where they're like, okay, he really liked my work, but yeah, I've just got to fix this little thing. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, like you're saying as well, like just flipping how you say things. You know what I mean?
End on
Like,
the positive.
I feel like with text and things like that, that really works the way you're doing it. In person though, I still feel like having the positive first. I don't know. I'd have to notice when somebody did it to be okay, like I sort of get that.
It's a very very interesting trick. Like it definitely makes a difference because you hear you're left on, I guess, the cliff of positivity than the cliff of negativity.
Yeah, 100. Oh, like I totally get like the reason behind it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, for me personally, if somebody was to be like, oh, I don't really like that, but I like that, I'd sort of be like, well,
I think it's because you're thinking about the I don't like rather than
can we change?
I'm like, could we shift this a little bit because I like this.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing as well. Like, even just that, it's
just
like
that.
Instead of saying you don't like something, it's like,
can we
what's
shift
a different way that you can say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's forward communication. That's something I learned the other day. It's like, if you're always talking about the future, think about Trump. Yeah. The reason why Trump won was because it was about a future America, make America great again. Whereas Hillary, her slogan was, I'm with her.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there is more of a future thing. They're voting for a positive future. And if you look at every president, it's crazy. Yeah. Like the super, like a high amount of the ones who won, they were doing a future statement. Yeah. The other was doing a now statement. It's crazy when you research it. It's always to do with future. So that is, again, like, you know, that thing of, man, this, I think we could shift this to be blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, fuck, you're right. Rather than I don't like it. Because there's no resolution. It's just a wall that you're hitting someone with.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, back to your process.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess, you know, like, obviously there's the most common one is when people come to me with an idea. So whether it be a snippet, a full length vocal that they've done to a YouTube beat or something else, or they've, you know, if we're just talking about writing, let's go with like at least half a song.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, I've got this far, but I really need something to help finish it. You know what I mean? Sometimes they need to hear it in context with the song to then finish writing the song. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, okay, cool. So we get there, and the very first question I ask is like, what are your references? What do you like listening to? What are you thinking for this? What is your ideas? Yeah. That is like, for me, and this is what I was saying, like when people don't really know how to explain things, this is the easiest way for you to explain something to a producer without knowing technical terms.
Yeah.
Is like, pick, I don't know, 5 songs max, and be like, try and make sure they're within the similar sort of like, you know, genre, region or stuff.
Yeah.
Or if you're looking at, because there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it like, I like this genre and this sound and this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, choose 5 different songs. Okay, this song, I really love how they did the drums. The sounds and like the soundscape of the drums and the percussion. This song, I really love whatever that, and like, you know, try and tell them what you're hearing in that song.
Yeah.
If you don't know the instrument, what instrument you're trying to tell them to hear. For instance, I really like the guitars in that song, that tone, whatever, and try and, you know, piece together for them sort of the sounds, not that you exactly want maybe, but that you like.
Yeah.
This is what you like. This is what you hear in your mind when you're writing. You know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like references and stuff, you know, like it helps me a lot because it gives me something to work off.
It's a compass.
To work to. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's because I've done a couple where they're just like, oh, just make something, and it's like, well, that doesn't.
Bro, like, that's like asking someone, hey, where's the shop? Just start walking, you'll find it. Like, is it this way? Is it that way? I don't know.
Yeah. And in some instances, that is a great way.
Yeah.
To create 100%. There's times for that sort of thing. But but at least have some sort of guidance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you don't know how to articulate, either find somebody who can articulate it for you or give them the references.
Yeah. I think it's super important too for, I think this is something that helped me a lot, and I think it would help a lot of artists. It's never going to sound like how it sounds in your head. You know what I mean? Like it'll be kind of like it, but like there's shit that's going on in your head that makes everything sound so much better than real life. So you hear like a beat or something in your head. I can't explain it. Like you hear like this made up reverb sound, but then you hear it real and you're like, nah, it just doesn't sound how I hear it. And it's like, you're never going to hear it like that ever because there's so much not happening, you know, and happening at the same time.
Well, you know what? Like, yes and no. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there's always some sort of like added euphoric feeling when you're thinking something in your head.
Yeah.
It always sounds bigger and better in your head, always. But I guess it's knowing that sound and then how it sounds in the real world. Yeah. And making that distinction. Not being like, oh, it doesn't sound as good. And it's like, okay, well, if that's that sound. And this, you know, this can be completely wrong because, you know, some producers or like whatever, depending on the sound, yeah, they could fucking get it exactly like you have it sounding in your head. And like, that's amazing. And yeah, that's happened a couple times and people have been like, I don't know how you did that, but that's incredible. Like, that's exactly what I heard in my head. Yeah. And I'm like, yay, thank you. That's real good for me. I like that. But then there's the other half of it where like, yeah, it's like, oh, I sort of want to reverse reverb on this. And it's like, okay, I'll do that, whatever. And they're like, it doesn't exactly sound what I want. And I'm like, okay. And this is a part where I have to remember that like, you know, like that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many times where you have to take your ego out of the whole situation and be like, it's okay. I'm not going to get hurt. It's okay. They don't like it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
then it's
that's
like
good though. Sometimes I love it. Like when, again, I'll come up with an idea and then you'll do something and it sounds nothing how it sounds in my head. But I'm like, again, after a few listens, because again, when something's new, it's uncomfortable. It just is. Like, that's why we like songs from Linkin Park and old school Jay-Z, because you've had decades of emotional attachment and, you know, and nostalgia. You're not going to like their new stuff anywhere like their old stuff because it hasn't got that emotional backing. But
well, not straight away anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, that's when you hear artists talk about, as fans, they're like, it's just not like their original stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, because you have to wait 4 or 5 years until that nostalgia builds up and emotions attach.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it can happen straight away. It's just dependent purely on that exact situation, you know what I mean? Like, what was, you know, like, sometimes, it isn't the build-up of nostalgia over the listening time, but it's how it was the build-up of emotion to get to the point just before you listen to it. Exactly.
And that's the thing, you know, like, you know, it's hard.
The emotions you were feeling during that listening, that first listen.
Yeah. And even other ones. That's why songs can, like, you can fucking hate songs because it's you were listening to it during a breakup. Whereas I'm like I'm like the opposite. I'm like a little bit twisted and shit. Like, I love Apologize. Even though that reminds me of one of my breakups, I fucking love that song.
It's a great song. Like,
yeah, true.
The original version or the Timbaland version?
Timbaland.
Okay, good. The original's fire as well, but Timbaland, I don't know.
It's Timbaland.
Just the fact that his name is on it, I think, makes me even more happy.
Yeah.
But I did like his drums on it. They were really, really cool.
Yeah. But back to it, like, sometimes, you know, what you're hearing in your head isn't as good.
Yeah.
As when like you
know what I mean?
Like you as a producer touches it, and I'm like, oh shit! Like, I didn't even think of that. That's fucking lit. Did I just say lit? I did.
And yeah, you did. And like on the flip side of that as well, it's like when say you like you're like, oh yeah, like I'm hearing this sort of thing in my head, and then producer's like, okay, and then that sparks an idea in the producer's head. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you sort of play off that. And that's depending on the dynamic of, you know, the person you're working with. I think that's also a massive thing to consider, you know, because it's been really funny because obviously during the quarantine, like, people are trying to work with other people as much as possible and create a network, even though we can't really go out. You know, it's made it real hard for people who enjoy networking. I, for one, do not enjoy networking. Like, I don't go to events and network. I Like it just.
Well,
I've always had this thing like.
In this environment, networking is hard anyway because it's like you're sliding into people's DMs. It's like exactly what you don't want to do. Like, how can someone take you seriously from a couple of words? You know?
Yeah. And there's, we're just going to keep going off tangents. But in this specific time, one thing I would say is don't rush into it when you're networking with someone. If you're trying to create a conversation, do exactly that. Create a conversation. Don't do it. Because I had somebody hit me up the other day and they're like, the exact message was like, hey bro, I'm just trying to, network and like contact like I'm a producer from Sydney. I'm just trying to network and things like that. And I'm like, why would you say that? It's obviously clear to me if you're trying to talk
an agenda.
To me which is fine. If you want to collaborate, that's cool. We can talk about it, depending on my situation and what I've got going on, blah, 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 all the things that go around it. But I was just like, why would you say you're networking? It's just unnecessary.
I think people are afraid like that, if I'm not honest with what my intention is, this person's not going to like me. But the issue is, again, it's like sliding in the DM of a chick. Hey, I'm interested in potentially banging you. That's a bit upfront.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like sometimes it works, maybe like 1% of the time.
What's that 1%, man?
Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends how cute you are, but like, whatever. But like, it's exactly like that though. It's like, why would you address what you're trying to do? Just create a conversation with me.
Yeah.
If you've seen something on my story or that I've posted, comment on it, hit me up in my DMs and be like, yeah, bro, I totally agree with this. Like, tell me more. Or like, just create some sort of dialogue.
100%.
Don't just be like, hey, I'm trying to network. Because he was like, hey, I'm trying to network. I've heard I know, because obviously I do a lot of guitar loops for producers and things like that. So he was like, yeah, like I've heard some of the loops you've done. They're fire. How would you feel about collaborating? And I was like, well, you obviously don't give a shit about me.
Yeah.
You're
trying to get it.
Yeah. Like at least feed my ego a tiny little bit.
Yeah. Like even in that situation.
At least act like you want to be my friend.
That's the thing. Like,
I mean, not just want my loops.
He could have just even like, I guess to pull apart that example, he literally could have just said, hey man, I heard some of your, what do you call it? Some of your loops. I'm like, and they're fucking mad, dude. Like, how did you do them?
Yeah, or just leave the compliment.
Yeah, like
or just leave the compliment and then hit me back at a later date and just slowly introduce a dialogue, slowly remind me that you're there, and then eventually, we'll probably start talking about stuff. And if you've got questions, like I'm so open. This goes out to everybody who's watching or might be watching. If you've got questions, hit me up. About certain things, but I guess just do it in a nice way. Like,
polite.
How would you like it if somebody just came to you and be like, "Hey, bro, what's up? Like, you trying to work? Like, do you want to collaborate?"
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, I mean, who the fuck are you?
Well, that's the thing. The slow game is often faster than the fast game because the fast game gets met with no, whereas the slow game is like, put it this way: would you rather come in guns blazing, talking to Kanye? Or just chat as mates for 5 years before he even did one collab with you? Yeah. Probably the 5 year chat, Yeah,
100%. And in that sort of instance, I probably wouldn't say it's a collab. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't ask him to.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it's a 5 year conversation / friendship. So then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, wait, I got this beat." Like search. This is a good one for you guys.
It becomes.
Just quickly. This is a good one for Jamie Foxx. So Jamie Foxx and the Jamie Foxx and Kanye one. If anyone hasn't watched it, it's on Joe Rogan. This will make you realize the power of networking, but networking without an agenda, because that was Jamie Foxx's sole thing. Like he'd throw massive parties, and they were networking parties. It wasn't get fucked up. A lot of people did, but it wasn't get fucked up and get pussy. It was. I'm doing parties. Like he had basketball players, like all these A-listers coming because they were rager parties. And that's how he got a reputation. And then all of a sudden there's this weird kid in the background and it's this, this is this kid. And it was Kanye, and Kanye's like, hey man, like I just want you to do some lyrics on my song. And then bang, gold digger.
Yeah.
But he had no intention. It wasn't, hey man, you're a little kid in like, if this is Jamie Foxx is not going to listen to a kid who's just walked in. And again, Kanye wasn't Kanye at that point. You know? Yeah. He was an up and coming. And then, then, I mean, at least, what's his name? Kanye had
He'd done some cool shit. He wasn't like Kanye now, but he'd done some cool shit.
Yeah, but the way in which Jamie Foxx explains him, it's just like, it's this kid. Yeah. You know, like he didn't really know who he was, but he was polite and networked and built a friendship. And Kanye was just like, oh, you want to do some, like, literally it wasn't, actually I don't think, Kanye wasn't taking. He was giving.
Yeah.
He was like, do you want to chuck some vocals on my track?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, do you want to collab? Because you want to chuck some vocals on my track.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's how Jamie Foxx at least said it. And again, it's approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that Jamie Foxx tells that story heaps.
Yeah. Oh, it's a crazy story, man.
It's nuts. Same thing with like how Ed Sheeran used to live on his couch for a little bit.
Jamie Foxx is?
You heard that one?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, Ed Sheeran was like staying on his couch for a little bit. Look that one up. That's hectic.
But again, Jamie Foxx, like, he's a networking dude. Like,
man.
That's his sole thing. Let's chuck a party. Everyone comes over. Hey, what are you doing? That's mad. All right, what are you doing? That's mad. And then again, another rager party. Yeah. Oh, I'm meeting Shaq. Shaq's at my house. Hey, who's over there? Oh, it's fucking what's his name? Like comedians and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. No, look, yeah.
Rolodex,
100%. Man. And like, networking, yes, is important. I don't like doing it, but I know it's important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's something I'm working towards. I'm trying to network more.
Do you want to chuck some parties?
Yeah, okay.
What if we covered everyone at the party in like, not a plastic bag, but I saw a dating video where this guy was covered in a giant like Zorb ball. And we could have like a COVID party where everyone's in a Zorb ball and they can't be near each other.
But like the Zorb balls are infected now. So
it doesn't matter, you throw them out up. No, they're not. Because the inside is. But that's fine because no one touches the inside besides the person that's in it.
True.
All right, Zorb party. If you guys want a Zorb party, let us know.
We'll have to look into this.
Yeah, the Zorbs aren't cheap.
Yeah.
That's the issue. You're buying
okay, so back to
process.
Back to process. So yeah, initial idea, start working on it, get your references, and then like it's like 4 hours. It depends. It depends on the song. Depends on the idea. Like depends what the artist sort of, and depends what I'm used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this is what this was my next point, was like, choose a producer that makes sense.
Yeah.
For your style of music.
100%. You know what I mean? You don't just. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, it's just like, don't just pick someone.
Yeah.
Because they're popping, or like because they did this, and you're like, oh, like I'm seeing him a lot on Instagram, I should get him to produce my stuff.
Facts.
It's like, does it fit though?
You don't get Pharrell doing an Iron Maiden album.
Bro, if he did, it'd be fire. Let's be absolutely, completely honest. If he was the executive producer on an Iron Maiden album, I'd probably be okay with it.
How do you reckon that album would go?
It'd be mad. It'd be so mad.
Yeah. Maybe we should.
If
that happens, I'm taking credit for it.
Yeah, 100%. Because okay, yeah, let's not get into
Let's not get into that.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously pick a producer that makes sense for your project and your sound.
Yeah.
And yeah, so get your ideas, get your references, and then you sit down and you start creating. So my process changes depending on the song, but most of the time what I try and do is I'll put down some chords first and establish a tempo.
Yep.
For what they want. That'll be the first thing. So chords and tempo, obviously, because they've already got an idea, you can sort of judge a tempo off that, but there's always leeway, you know what I mean? If it's going to sound like maybe it's too slow, be like, it'd probably be better sped up a little bit. And that will then change the writing for the next bit, you know what I mean? for that bit that they haven't written, or for the writing that they already have that might be like, oh, okay, I need to tweak a few things to fit this new vibe. So yeah, that would be that's sort of like my first step is like chords and tempo.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'll probably try and flesh out that sort of idea with the instruments first and have a little bit of like an instrumental part of it before I even get to percussion and drums. So soundscape sort of wise, start picking sounds and like locating the presets that I have and stuff that sort of revolve around the sounds that the artist has shown me. Melodic ideas and things like that. Maybe even get them, before I put drums down, maybe even get them to sing to, excuse me, I was about to burp.
Let it out.
Get them to do like a demo vocal, really, really rough. It doesn't have to be any good at all. It could be the cat meowing, but at least I know where the melodies hit, sort of where the lyrics go, and the timing of the flow of their vocals and things like that.
Yeah.
Because for me personally, like I don't like to overproduce things. So what I try and do is I'll try and create a simplistic almost bed track and get them to then sing on top of it.
Yeah.
See where the vocals will sit and then sort of produce around the vocals. You know what I mean? So that you're not taking up too much space in the actual beat for the vocals.
Yeah.
So I'll make a bed, put some of the vocals in, add a little bit of production, and then from that point be like, okay, is this a song where we can add more production and do more production things? You're going to make me yawn. And
You're
then,
a sympathetic yawner too, huh?
Oh, bro, it's so bad. So yeah, go from there. So it's like, okay, this song would actually sound better if it's just the main vocal with a couple of little extra things.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well then I have to make the beat huge around that.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Or maybe not. Maybe it's just a simplistic song and it doesn't need much.
Yeah.
Or it's like this song needs to be a very minimal beat because a lot of the work is going to be taken by the vocal arrangement and the vocal production. So extra oohs and ad-libs, you know, all that extra stuff that fill in the background of that soundscape isn't synthesizers. You know what I mean? And this is one of the things where people could be like, I don't really know what's like going on in the background, but it sounds really like, you know, euphoric and like just like, oh, it's just moving and it sounds really cool. Like, I don't know what synth it is. And it's like, well, it's not a synth, it's vocals.
Yeah.
It's just a whole bunch of vocal layers that they've just like placed and filled with like delays and reverbs and effects and use those as instruments.
Yeah.
You know? And like I think that's a really cool thing. Like
John Bellion does that actually. If he has a guitar, he'll go like ba la la la, and then like put an actual guitar amp on his vocals, and it's fucking sick.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's mad. Like there's endless things that we can do to create a new sound and new things like that.
Yeah.
So that's you know, and that's sort of like the main process would be so instruments. And then maybe like a guide vocal, and then I'll do the drums around the guide vocal and thing and see how that works.
What's a guide
vocal?
vocal?
Because just like a demo vocal.
Gotcha.
A guide is like, just like one thing that's like, this is the idea, but it's not finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then, like I actually did that the other week before the lockdown. Was like, she had an idea. And we were changing it quite a bit and changing the tempo. So the old vocals she had like a whole nother backing track and vocals recorded for this song. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I sort of want to change it a little bit. So we started changing it, but we changed the tempo. So the vocals weren't really sitting right, and I didn't really want to use them.
Yeah.
So I was like, can you just, I've got these new, because we changed the whole feel. So the vocals didn't really fit anymore with the feel.
Yep.
Even though they didn't really change much, but just her obviously delivery and the way she sang it with the new tempo and her spacing. So it was like, okay, can you just like, these are the chords, there's a little bit of a drum loop, whatever, just to make the artist like be able to stay in time and things like that. Because maybe instead of a metronome, it's better to use just a drum loop. You know what I mean? So they can be a little bit more free and go off like a groove rather than just like a...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So got her to just do a super chill vocal, like nothing crazy, just like an idea. So I knew where the melodies were, I knew where everything landed and how it was going to sound, and then like created from that.
Yeah. So So it sounds like it sounds as well like you're pretty much not a mentor. It's like a guide in a way. Like you're elastic enough to be like, all right, this is the direction that I thought was going to work in terms of this is the structure in which we were going to write the song. However, let's just park that for a second, go this way. I need you as an artist to do this. And then we can go back onto the track.
Yeah. Well, and it's more, I mean, it's more so they can get an idea of how it's going to sound.
Yeah.
As well as it gives me a chance to see how the vocals fit into the track I've made. And then be like, okay, well, what needs to change? What needs to change? What needs to happen? How do I grow this? You know, maybe the chords don't exactly work with the vocal completely. Because something I've been doing lately in quarantine, obviously, because I'm not doing any recording sessions.
Yeah.
I'm just making beats and doing things like that. So
fine-tuning the skills.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, you know, making stuff so that I can give to people so I can be like, hey, I know we aren't doing sessions, but here's some stuff I've made for you specifically. You know, related to that artist, being like, if you need to write or if you want to practice writing or whatever, or if you actually want to use these and we can go in on them later when we have time, here's some ideas for you.
Yeah, because side note, how many tracks do you have, like just random beats? I'm pretty sure it's up in like the 800s, just sitting around.
No way, bro.
Bro, I swear I saw like beat 824 the other day.
No. So I've got like I don't know, like it's weird because like I mean I don't always make beats to have in a catalog. You know what I mean? A lot of my work is like I'm saying, like people come to me with specific ideas and I make specific beats to those ideas.
Okay.
I was like you know what I mean? So it's really case on case basis. So when people are like, oh yeah, send me some beats or whatever, I'm like, that's not really how I work normally. So, and this is what I was about to say. What I've been doing, which is making it easier for me, is, you know, my mate Ray.
Yeah, Drake.
Yeah. So shout out Ray.
Shout out cool. Drake.
Rashad is his artist name. He's got a couple tracks out.
I like his
He's
stuff.
just sending me. Yeah, he's cool, bro. He's cool. He's just sending me all his acapellas.
Oh yeah.
For tracks that he's got. He's just sending me acapellas. And like, I'm just like, bro, look, obviously, you know, like there'll be songs that, yeah, like you want me to do for your project. But I'm like, if you don't mind, can I just have these acapellas to make beats around?
Yeah, that's cool.
To then have. So I think like last week I didn't even make that many. I just made 20 beats or whatever.
Oh, is that all?
Over the last week. Bro, some people, man, that'll be like a day for them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's also a difference. Crazy. I mean, you could do 20 super basic ones. But I know how you produce your beats, and they're not simple. Like,
no, it's the same with a lot of people, man. It's just workflow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's workflow, and you know, this isn't something that I do a lot. You know what I mean? Like constantly make beats all day, every day. So for me, like, it's again, like it's a new skill for me. Basically, it's like, okay, like learning how to create under those conditions.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Because that's a lot of things. Like some people think that, I think Maxine touched on this. Some people consider themselves producers when they're beat makers. I would classify you as a producer 100%. What is the difference between the two?
Well, producer is an old term. So a producer used to be somebody that overseed the whole project.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And well, not used to be. It's still used as that term, but then it's also been co-opted to mean a beat maker.
Yeah.
People use it to describe a beat maker sometimes as well. And this is not to say that you aren't a producer if you're a beat maker. You know what I mean? Like you can be a producer if you're doing things for the whole project. You know what I mean? And you're involved in the evolution of that project or that song, because a song is still considered a project.
Yeah,
you know
it's sort of like a captain.
If it's just going to be... Yeah, well, yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, it's, you know, like it's obviously, like it's easier to think of the different meanings between different genres.
Yeah.
In the urban genres, a producer is somebody who makes the beats.
Oh, okay.
In general terms, this is how it's being used.
Yeah, so
you know what I mean?
The difference, because my external, like, I mean, I'm not familiar with all the sort of terms, like, a guide track. I learned that today. I just know it as a draft.
Yeah.
See, my interpretation of a beat maker is they make beats, whereas a producer is like how I'd perceive you, which is being, like you're there every step of the way, like you said, but you're also like a captain going, all right, these are my staff, Blake or whoever the artist is. This is what we need to do. Now, how would you do it? This. All right, cool. This is the next step. That's how I would describe a producer.
I think the reason that it's changed for some people, like the definition, is because of how music has changed and how it's made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not
everybody goes to a massive studio, has an A&R, has somebody producing the project anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times it's the artist's vision, and what they do is they go and get beats from people and come back, record it all, do the rest of it all themselves, and that's it. And so they would technically be considered the producers of that project.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would definitely say that.
You know what I mean?
The person where they got the beat from was a beat maker, but they definitely produced the song.
I don't know when exactly the term came. I think it's when you had people like Timbaland and Kanye West. And I think it was around like the 2000s, 90s to the 2000s was the era of the super producer, like the golden era.
What's a
super
producer?
And that was those, well, somebody who, like that term, the producer term was co-opted to those people who made beats and stuff and did all that because, sorry, I'm just fixing my pants.
Yeah, I was wondering what you're doing. You look like you're trying to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that golden era for like I guess the super producer was the producer became more important than the artist almost. You know what I mean? It's not like you got fame as a producer because you worked with that artist. It's like that artist got fame because they worked with that producer.
Yeah.
And the table sort of flipped there. You know what I mean? Because the instrumentals and the track became more important than the vocal to some people.
Yeah. And I guess even from now, I guess that it's gone where a lot of people are producers because of the change of technology. Like you don't need a massive studio. Now people are producing 100%. Artists, oh, shit. Crap. Bulldog. Why am I blanking out? Pitbull.
Yeah.
Pitbull is literally like he's a producer.
You said Bulldog.
I said Bulldog. I knew it was a dog. I was like, I'm gonna get there. Just let me. All right, just let me steer my ship to find the treasure. All right.
Do you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I would not call Pitbull an artist. I would call him a producer.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
He's definitely still an artist, though.
No, he is. But I mean, in terms of how I view him and his career and everything.
Yeah.
He's more towards a producer than an artist. Like he makes catchy beats, and they're freaking like they hook you in. That's why he's successful. But I don't know. I guess my opinion on an artist is someone who creates stories, whereas his beats are more like. Well, his songs, they're catchy ass beats. And the lyrics are kind of not really deep. And I think for me as an artist, I see an artist having depth, whereas he's a producer because he makes sick songs that hook you in and you're like, oh my gosh, wow. Like even Timbaland, his stories, I would say he's like, again, he's still on the producer side for sure, but he's more of an artist because his songs will have a story in it, like Promiscuous Girl. Like it's a double thing of promiscuity. Like people take it as a sexual thing, but there's little hints of it's about promiscuous exploration within your music.
Yeah.
Whereas Pitbull's stuff's usually like, rhyming Kodak with Kodak.
Well, and this is where it comes down to, and this is where it could have changed, you know what I mean? It's all a case of personal opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
I mean, you think like that. I don't think like that.
Yeah.
And some people think that they're producers when they make beats, and some people don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's totally, unfortunately, like that's how it is. Well, not unfortunately, but like that's.
I think that's the good thing. It's an art form. It's gray. It's gray. There is no
That's it.
blocking
Always.
system of this is what you are and this is what you can
I
be.
think when you start to look at the business element of it, that's when those terms really come into play.
100%.
You know what I mean?
More money in a producer.
So, well, I mean, it's just
the
the fact
contract.
that, you know, like what the contract states that your job is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The contract states that you're a producer, and it states what that means. That will be a defining moment for what producer means to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, bro. It's just one of those terms that can be taken in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And I guess we'll try and wrap it up. I love it. We said we're going to be 20 minutes, 55.
Legit, it's been basically an hour.
Yeah, well, whatever. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in here that would help.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, like at the end of the day, I guess the right way to set up your songs and what I'm getting is to like wrap it all up. There is no right way, and that's what annoys a lot of people about music. You know, it's the same with people who are like, oh, you know, what's the best vocal chain? There is none. It depends on so many things, you know, like, so yeah, I mean, like, find your groove. Also be prepared to break your. This is what I'm getting from what you told me. Find your groove, but at the same time, be prepared to fuck that groove off and explore something differently. And also trust. You need to find a producer that you can trust and you work with, that you know that they know how to steer you the best way. You know, so
And these are all things easier said than done.
Well, again,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I mean, if you're looking
they
for
take time.
Yeah, if you're looking for a blueprint, and I think that's the problem with a lot of these things now, where people are selling courses and shit. They go, "This is the way." There is no way.
Yeah. No.
You know, like I mean, every song that we've done has been probably a different. If you had to have like a step-by-step recipe, all of them.
No, we started them all in a different way.
All of them, you know, like Gypsy Soul was me going, "Hey, I want to do a mash between these two songs." We started from scratch. ASMR Rated, I had a beat, and I thought I had the whole song, and then the outro, you're like, that's actually the hook, and so the outro became the chorus, and then I rearranged everything else because I knew what the story then was, and then you fattened it up. And then there is other songs where it's like, dude, this is pretty much it, you know, like.
And then it's just tweaking, you know what I mean? I wasn't like you basically did everything. Then it was just like, okay, well, how do we make this sound bigger?
Yeah.
Or better, or for lack of a better word, more professional.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I find again, if you have a producer, like, it usually is better if you can do more than a couple of songs together, because you start learning each other's groove as well. You know, like. Yeah. If you just do one song with one producer, one song with another, it's like dating. If you had a bunch of like 1,000 single dates, they're never going to be as good as like a 2-year relationship, because you get to build a deeper relationship, learn how to like work together, and there's more weight to it. Just like with networking, like back to your point, there's more weight if you've known someone for 5 years. Like, they're going to trust you over someone who's just DM'd them. So, yeah.
So like, you know, and I think, look, that's all of those. 100%. Those points are valid. Yeah, I think for me personally, at the moment, the main thing is open communication.
100%.
Like, really communicate with me. Like, really tell me what you want. Really tell me what you expect, and I will tell you what I expect. You know what I mean? Like, there's been so many times where I've forgot to like tell people what my expectations are from them.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like you can't. It's so hard to bring that up halfway down the track. You know what I mean? Like, you have to. It's really awkward, but you have to open with that. Like, okay, so here are my rules, or here are the way I do things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And you get that experience.
It's just one of the,
you get that with experience.
100%. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's exactly right. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, I feel like that's a good point to wrap it up. But I was just going to say, if anybody does have any problems, like guys out there watching, whatever, if you want to get more in depth, like hit us up. And, you know, if you've got specific questions, please like send them through, comment, like whatever. We'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, sick. Cool, guys. Make sure to subscribe and
Subscribe.
yeah, comment your questions below because we can't answer them if they're not asked. Yeah, take it easy, guys.
Exactly right.
Peace.
Peace out.